that said, above all else, focus on acquiring knowledge and skills. Knowledge and skills are like gold, a currency you will transform into something more valuable than you can imagine. It's similar to one of your tweets, which is eventually the time that was not spent on learning skills will catch up to you and the fall will be painful. What's that mean?
Well, life can be kind of difficult, right? You don't really know sometimes where you're headed. Nobody kind of gives you any kind of guidance in this world, right? And they don't tell you when you graduate college, go ahead, go Robert, you go study this. This is what, this is what your brain is suited for, et cetera, et cetera. You have to find your own path. And so for me personally, I spent years in the wilderness. So I'm gonna give this a personal spin because I think that helps a little bit, because I can answer it inside my own body here. So I know I want to be a writer, but I can't figure out what the hell I'm going to write. So I leave college and I try journalism because I have to make a living. I have to support myself. And I don't really like it. It doesn't suit me. You write an article and then a week later it's forgotten. Nobody reads about it. And as somebody who studied ancient Greek and Latin in college, I think in terms of thousands of years and not in 3 days or a week, I want something that I write to be read in 3024, sorry. So it wasn't a good fit. So I quit. I wander around Europe trying to write a novel with my backpack. I live in London. I live in Paris. I lived in Ireland. I lived in Greece. You name it. I taught English in Spain. Trying to write a novel. I had no discipline. I couldn't do it. It didn't work. And I was starting to get depressed. Then my dad isn't well. I decided I'm going to move back to Los Angeles. Hey, I'm going to get a job in Hollywood, right? That'll be good. I'll make a ton of money and I'll be writing and, et cetera. How glamorous, how sexy, movie stars, starlets knocking on my door, et cetera. Okay, terrible, terrible fit because I'm a control freak. I don't like people coming in and changing everything I say. And I don't like conforming and I don't like compromise. Sorry, that's a bad thing about me, but I didn't want to have to lower my standards to what they were asking me to do. It was a terrible fit. All right, now comes the chance. I meet this man, Joost Elfer, as we mentioned earlier, in Italy. And he asked me if I have any ideas for books. And I kind of improvised the 48 Laws of Power. The point of my long-winded story here is I had spent 18 years or so acquiring high levels of skill in writing, okay? I learned in journalism how to write under a deadline, under pressure, how to make it dramatic, how to make the opening sentence exciting enough to make you read on further. Trying to write novels taught me about creating stories, which is a huge part of my writing. Working in Hollywood, I learned how to research, which is a huge element, and then the theatrical element, making things dramatic, also story. Okay? All of that time, slowly by slowly, brick by brick, I had developed real level skill. So when it came time to write the 48 Laws of Power, I could do it. I had learned all this discipline. I had learned how to write under a deadline. I learned how to make things entertaining, the whole bag, okay? And so the world opened up for me. Prior to that time, I was miserable, really, really was. I mean, I had good moments too. You're young, you're always happy when you're young, but a lot of times I was miserable. And I didn't know why, but I was acquiring skills, not even aware of it. And so the reason I write that is when you develop that skill, when you're serious about it, because I was very serious about writing, you change your brain. You rewire your brain. It's like, and this is a remarkable power of the human brain that people don't realize. It's something I'm also writing in my new book. This one writer, his name is Schwartz, I believe. He's a UCLA neuroscientist. He wanted to help people who had OCD, right? Obsessive compulsive disorder. And usually it's drugs and it's talking therapy. he wanted to find out something more effective. And he found that through certain strategies that he developed, that they could use in their life, that they would get what the strategies were. The point was, he did brain scans. And through the strategies that he gave them to do, which I can't remember right now, the brain scans showed that they changed the brain. And his point was, through thinking, through developing skills, you literally change matter, you change your brain. So something non-material like thoughts can literally change material things like the wiring of your brain. You learn skills, you're changing your brain, you're changing the matter of your brain. Things are connecting that weren't connected before. And slowly, if you do it, if you're serious enough, a point will be reached like it was reached in my life, where either you will start a business or someone will ask you to do something like write a book or make a film, and the world will open up for you and you'll be able to do it because you have that, you've laid the ground, you've laid the soil, everything is there, it's rich, and now something great, amazing will sprout up out of it. When you have no talents, you have no skill, life is a series of endless confusion. You hit this road, you go here, then something else, you go here, then you go here, you end up in a circle and you don't know where the hell you are. When you've got skills, zoom, you know where to go. It's not in zoom, it's more like, but your head is somewhere. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're being filmed, but so yeah.
Today, the first phase after the incident, you wake up, you realize that your life has changed. What's going on in your psychology? What's going on in your mind? You talked about helplessness and depression.
Well, to be honest with you, what happened to me was, right afterwards, there was a level of delusion in my mind. I kept thinking, well, in 3 months, I'll be back at it. In 6 months, I'll be swimming. In a year, I'll be hiking again. I wasn't aware of how hard the process was. And then 6 months, 8 months, a year down the road, as I realized I was wrong, that's when the depression set in. That's when it really started hitting me. I thought I'd be back. Here I am 4 years on. I thought I'd be back to my life, but I'm not. So that's what was the hardest struggle, was actually a year in there and going, there's a phase where you kind of plateau, where you're not really progressing anymore. That's the worst part of it. I'm progressing now again because I have a great therapist, but I had to deal with really bad depression about a year and a half in, when it started to realize, this is my life, man. I'm going to always have this funny arm that's bowing in. I'm going to be walking like this. I never expected this in my life. So I've had to deal with that, and I've had to kind of find a way to not let it get me down, to find other pleasures and joys in life, etc., which I have.
How do you find a way to not let it get you down? I'm thinking now about people that are listening to this that might be struggling with their own subjective struggles in life. They've lost their job, they have a disability, whatever it might be. What are the successful strategies you've deployed to try and keep that peace of mind?
Well, I don't know how much of it is applicable, because I'm at a phase of life where I don't have material worries, and I could have had a kind of stroke where my physical element would have been untouched, but my brain would have been damaged, which is another part. That would have been worse, because I wouldn't have been able to write another book. And I have a very active mind. So for me, being able to write another book is my salvation. So when it's 3:00 in the afternoon, when I get down to writing, it's the happiest moment in my life. I feel at peace. I'm back to my work, and I love my work, and I love what I'm writing about. It's saved me a lot. I do meditation. I've been meditating now for about 12 years, I think, more than that. Every morning, it's a ritual. I have to meditate. If I don't, something's wrong. And I've never missed a day, I can honestly say. And it just calms me down. It just gives me a strength throughout the whole day. So I get up 7:00, the sun's usually shining because it's Los Angeles. And I go, it's the morning. I'm greeting the morning. I'm greeting the sun. It's like I'm somebody 4,000 years ago in a tribe. There's the sun. It's a miracle that there's even something like that. The birds are chirping. I'm looking at the ivy. The sky is blue. I just calm myself down. Intrusive negative thoughts start popping into my mind. You didn't do this. You have a podcast today at 2:00, Robert. You want to do this, that, and the other. I'd get rid of them. I go, calm down, put that away, ground yourself in what it's helped immeasurably. The other thing is, always keep in mind that there are people who have it worse than you. So I don't want to feel sorry I don't like the sense of feeling sorry for myself. If you believe as if you are confident, as if you are powerful, it will tend to be read that way, right? And so, like, he had the analogy, if you smile, even though you don't feel like smiling, you'll end up kind of maybe feeling kind of happy. So the physical action will create the psychological action, was his belief, because he was very much a believer in the body, things starting from the body. So if you believe physically and embodied that you are great, that you deserve this, it will kind of become part of your psychology and it will radiate outward.
But for those that don't, they just don't have that belief. Can you lie to yourself? Can you tell yourself, I am strong and I am powerful?
Well, everybody has some good qualities, right? Everybody, I think almost everybody has something that they can go back to in the past and go, I was actually very good at that. That was actually a good moment. I actually was scored in that particular moment. And you can think about that. I mean, actors do that all the time in movies. When they want to express an emotion, they go back into their past. Like, they have to express sadness. They go back and they think about their father or mother who died, and they call that emotion up. You can call that emotion up of when you did something actually really great. You might have only been in high school when you were on the sports team and you threw the touchdown or something. Okay, think about that and it'll come back to you. Everybody has something that they can be confident about, I hope.
If there was one law that the powerless amongst us, who feel powerless or lost in the current world, one law or one fact of human nature that people who are feeling lost and purposeless and adrift right now should be thinking the most about, which one springs to mind?
Well, there's no one shop answer to this kind of thing, but one law that I would highlight is enter action with boldness. And what I mean by that is, if you're feeling timid, if you're feeling that you're not confident in something, you will start a project and it will fail